Hey guys, this is Joey Smith. We're at NeboBarbell. I'm going to do an interview with Mike Schwanke. Mike Schwanke is one of the top 220s in the world, full power. We got him here today at NeboBarbell. I'm going to ask him some few questions, get some insight on his training, what he thinks, his lifts, and what he's done. Mike, it's good having you here, brother. Been a while since you've been home.
About 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years. A lot of people that knows us knows that we used to train together back in the day. And you've been in the military for how long now?
13 cumulative total time, and I had 6, of course, Army, and more about 7 in the Air Force now.
Right, you're in the Air Force now, right? And where are you stationed at?
I'm stationed at McGill Air Force Base, Tampa, Florida, and I've been down there for about 5 years now.
And you train where at?
Tampa Barbell, Tommy Family's gym in Tampa, Florida.
Right. How many lifters y'all got at your gym?
I believe Tommy's rolling about 20 lifters deep now. Of course, he's always recruiting new talent.
Right. Now, a lot of people know what you've done in meets. A lot of people don't. So tell us, what's your best lifts that you've done at a meet, and at what weight class?
My best lifts was in the 220 weight class, 1003 squat, 705 bench, 804 pull for a 2502 total, which at one time was an all-time world record.
Right. How many guys have totaled over 2,500 in the 220s? 4?
Hit the 25 mark and above is before.
Right. An 800-pound pull at 220 is phenomenal. How many times have you pulled 800?
I've pulled 3, and actually yesterday would have been a really close knock on the door for a 4th.
Right. People that don't know, Mike just had a meet yesterday, and it was where at? In Atlanta?
Yeah, John Groves State meet in Atlanta, Georgia. Had about 40 lifters. Tampa Barbell had about 7 brought from home.
And this is your first meet in how long? Full power meet?
This is my first full meet period since I've been back from Iraq, which has been about a year now.
Been about a year. That's a long time. What was your numbers yesterday? First meet back?
The thing is, this first meet back, I didn't want to try to cut any weight, so I just weighed in as I was, and I weighed about 215. And played it kind of conservative on squat, but ended up with a 903. And what was more important for me was form was perfect. I wasn't risking form. I didn't feel injured. Everything felt right. Now I have something to work with. But besides that, 672 on the bench and 770 on the pull for 2347.
Okay. And that was a 220 weight class, right?
220, yeah.
Did you end up winning?
Yeah, I took my class and overall best lifter. Me and Clint Smith had a pretty fierce coefficient battle.
It's not bad, first meet back after a 1.5-year layoff. Now tell me, how would you being in the military, and you have to go out of the country a lot, how does that affect your training? It seems like to me it would be awful tough trying to juggle both, keeping your weight on. You got to do a lot of calisthenics, I guess, running and walk, stuff like that. Tell me how being in the military affects your training, powerlifting wise.
Well, it has an absolute effect on my training. The thing about me is I'm restricted to weight standards. I can't get too heavy. I have to keep a certain body mass index and stay within regulations. So you have to find a fine line between fast twitch and slow twitch muscle training. And that's between running and squatting heavy. What I found that works for me, I can run 2 to 3 miles once a week instead of the elliptical and still make gains and stay injury free. Not everybody has that leniency, so you kind of have to tell what your body type is and learn how to train to accommodate your learning curve, if you will. So.
Right. That seems like it'd be extraordinarily difficult,
It can, because you seem like you're always on that verge of being overtrained.
Right.
And, a lot of it comes with proper knowledge of band recovery, nutrition, and sleep. You have to play all those elements into making things work for you. But it shows you, though, and I never like to hear excuses. There's always a way to do something that you want.
Right. Now tell me about your nutrition. Well, you don't have to break it to bones, bare bones what you do, but, somebody was wanting to be like Mike, you look good, you're always lean, you're in good shape. How do you set up your diet? How do you eat? Is there a certain amount of calories, protein grams that you take in a day, or are you so anal about that you write down everything that you do? How do you set your diets up? Or is it different all the time for meats or
It's not
whatever?
really different. It's just being consciously aware of your carbs. I don't eat a lot of sugars. And I also incorporate the elliptical twice a week. That alone will lean you down, but cutting sends out like sodas, ice creams, pizza. You know a guy used to eat pizza, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's here anymore.
No.
But anyways, just overall minor adjustments to your diet can, have huge dividends to what your body physique is going to look like. But not everybody's geared towards looking like, a bodybuilder in Mr. Universe. But I'm happy where I'm at, and that works for me.
Right. What's next for you? Have you got a meet in mind that you may be training for, or does your military obligations in school, because you're in school right now too, right?
Full-time student.
So does this that has a lot more precedence than your meets, but do you have something that you have in focus right now that you might be looking to do down the road?
Down the road, I'd like to give the 198 class a crack, because competing as a 220er, I used to drop around 10 to 12 pounds. Well, now I'm not even really a true 220er anymore. I'm 215 to 212.
So you didn't even cut weight for this meet you did?
No, I just weighed in as clothes, so I think, to be more competitive in a efficiency of your weight class, that's going to be the next step for me, unless I decide to put on more weight. But like I said, being able to run and staying overly fit, the concept of fit in the military, being a little bit lighter is what I have to do right now.
Have you ever competed in the 198 weight class?
I tried to get down for the new Gulfport meet, and I got down to 200.5, and it was just a little too much because my body wasn't used to it yet, and I started kind of getting the minor cramps.
Right.
So I cut it off at that. But that was my first meet since I got back from Iraq, and that was just a push-pull, just to kind of give myself a baseline of where I need to tweak training, what's working, what isn't working.
Right.
And what have you.
Now, how long ago was that meet that you did? The push-pull meet? That was recent, a couple months ago?
Yeah, I think that was in May, and my wife actually did that meet with me too.
That was the next question I was going to ask you about. Now your wife's Suzanne, right?
Suzanne Schwanke.
Now, what weight class does Suzanne compete in?
She is a 148, and her actually best looks are quite phenomenal. She has to her accolades, a 480 squat, 297 bench, and a 417 pull.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, how long has she been competing?
Not very long. In high school and college, she was a competitive swimmer.
Right.
And then, we met. And,
so she's got some athletic background.
Oh, yeah. She has definitely gifted athletically. But she kind of got interested in what I was doing, and she followed suit and started doing very well. But it helps me to have that social support that somebody does something that I do.
Right. Y'all are sharing the same common goals. And now, you had made mention now, she's going to be going in the military as well, right?
Yes, she actually going to be a lieutenant in the nursing corps in OB.
Right. I think that it's great that, you've got somebody that you met that shares the same passion that you do about powerlifting, and you've actually got her into doing it. Now, has she totaled elite for her weight class?
Yes, she may be damn near on pro, if I'm not mistaken, because she's over 1,200. For the 148 females, which is, I want to say it's pretty close to a pro total.
Right. Well, that's pretty impressive. Now, do you have any upcoming lifters at Tampa Barbell that you're training, you and Tommy are working with, that may be making some noise before too long?
We have one gentleman working with us, Gabriel Lipinski. He's actually, between him and Rich McKeefer, is probably our most potential benchers that I've seen in there. But Gabriel is a strength coach down in Tampa, what he does. And he's actually shared a lot of rehabilitative methods with me too, as far as, band and calisthenics. So a few minor tweaks with him. He's got a beautiful arch, nice setup, loads of potential. And he stays healthy. I think he's going to be making some noise.
So you and Tommy are usually the primary people that are setting up training and working with guys?
Yeah, Tommy runs a group. I run a group. Of course, me and Tommy, we have different training philosophies. He tends to take a group that's more kind of acclimated to his style, and then I take the guys that are acclimated to my style. Tommy's more of a sit-back squatter. I'm more of an up-and-down squatter.
Right. Now, to a person that pulls conventional, and I'm definitely going to be listening to this because everybody knows I suck at deadlifting, but with you having, 800-pound pull, 800-plus pull at 220, what do you do that you think helps you the most being a conventional puller that's really, really helped your deadlift over the past few years?
I think listening to your body, not overtraining, and understanding your weaknesses. I'm typically very weak at the top.
Right.
And this is something I did starting out when you're young and stupid, is you just train and understand where your weaknesses and how to fix those deficits. So I've learned that pulling once a week off the floor, rack pulls and close stance squats staggered in a 3-week wave tend to work best for my style.
Right.
Unless I'm getting close to a meet, then I'm taking openers about 2 weeks out. But I always have a baseline that I'm taking some kind of opening lift, or you just know where you're at training-wise. If you don't, then you need that baseline to go off of.
Right. Now, what do you think that's helped your squat a lot? You know, I know that you squatted over 1,000, and you just did 905 at this meet.
903.
903.
20 pounds lighter, though.
Right. What do you feel that's really been a major asset for your squat training-wise? Any particulars?
I think particular in training is listening to experienced folks. I know when I made my biggest gains in the squat was running specialty bars. For some weird reason that worked very well.
Such as what, cambered bar?
Cambered bar, buffalo, straight. And I would run those in a 3-week wave. Matter of fact, me and Tommy did this experiment. And we would run the bands on the weights, but we'd choke the band on the weight itself, not the bar.
You're talking about actually putting the band over the plate.
It was pretty nasty on the camber, but what it did, it trained you the discipline to stay tight through your lift.
Right.
A lot of people tend to get kind of sloppy and round back. I've been guilty of it too, but it's something that I had to reinforce in myself.
Right. Do y'all do a lot of box squats?
He does, because he's a sit-back squatter versus me. I'm a little opposite. On my raw squats, I'll use the box. But once we're in gear in the suit, that box goes away, because I like my guys to be able to know where depth at, not having to hunt for depth.
All right, not searching for that box.
They should have a mental interpretation where they need to go to.
Let me ask you this, with a lot of controversy in the squats right now with depth. Lord knows that I've cut a squat once or two, but I know that you're one of the guys out there. You know, I could name, a few guys that really get their squats to depth. You're one of those guys. I'm not just saying that because we're good friends, but I don't think that I've ever seen you, but maybe once, get called for any type of depth thing with your squat. You take a lot of pride in your squat with your depth, knowing that there's not going to be any speculation to your depth. You take a lot of pride in that?
I do, because, I don't look at everything as being sacred, but if I want to do something to prove myself that I'm trying to break something, or something that somebody else achieved, I want to damn well make sure I'm doing it right.
Right.
Because I think that puts the prestige in what you're doing and what's set.
Right. 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 I agree with that. I'm sure Tommy preaches that too, about the, taking pride in your lifts and hitting your depth, stuff like that. What do you think?
Except for Tommy, he cuts them all. But
all of us geared lifters cut them out.
I'm messing with you, Tommy. I'll let you.
What do you think helps somebody? I could probably use a common sense answer, but what do you think helps somebody to get to depth all the time? Just doing it?
Well, just doing it, but also your training partners can't deceive you. When you say, I want that feedback,
You don't want cheerleaders.
I want you to tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong. Don't say, well, it was no. Was it good or was it not good? Was I below? Was I high? You tell me exactly what happened. They're the reporter telling the story, and you're the one that did it.
Do you think that some of the lifts that's been going on here in the last couple of years, because of speculation of high squats, have maybe taken away some luster from some of these world records that's been getting broken?
It has to a sense, but it's also, what's the worst effect of it? It's caused internal bickering within the sports. And what happens is somebody says, well, I'm going to create this organization to put prestige and pride back in. Well, that's not the answer.
Right.
The answer is fixing things internally and correcting the problem. Making another federation doesn't fix anything. It just creates more drama and politics involved.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you consider the lifter at fault for this, or do you consider the judges at fault for this?
I hold the judges totally at fault, because you know what? The lifter is going to use the parameters that are set.
Right.
So if he can do this, then somebody in their right mind I'm not saying that I'm that person, but in person, their mind being competitive at the moment, they're going to use whatever leniency or what rules are set to use.
Right. What's the old saying? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
What are you looking for overall before you finish your career in powerlifting? You've got several years left with you. How old are you now?
33.
33. What is it that Mike wants to accomplish before you walk off the platform for good? What is it that's going to make you feel like I've done what I wanted to do? Or are you already at that point? Have you already done that?
I'm not at that point yet, but what I want to be known is for consistency and being able to perform under any conditions. And you look at guys that's been around for a really long time. Vogelpool stands out to mind. He's had a huge, prestigious career. And you take guys that's been multifaceted as well, raw, single ply, equipped.
Charles Bailey, for instance.
Charles Bailey. I love Charles Bailey to death. Ryan Selly.
Yeah, Ryan Selly.
That guy is an amazing lifter.
Ryan, we're giving you love now, brother.
Yeah, I give him all the love in the world. He is a hell of an athlete.
Do you ever think that you might consider a full power raw meet just for fun, or do you even care about that?
I do and I don't. I mean, primarily, I'm a equipped multiply sponsor lifted by Inzer. And, Inzer doesn't sponsor me to lift raw.
True.
And John has been tremendously supportive, and, that's something I'm not going to put out there or try. We have an understanding that this is what I'm doing, this is where we're going. And I've always had his support, so it's my job to support him as well.
Now, at your meet back in May, when you done that push-pull meet, you opened at 500 pounds.
I opened up at 5 because
on the bench press.
I was a little skeptical of my touching skills, and also I did it to prove a point, because a lot of multiply guys catch flack like, well, where are you at without the shirt? Why? What the hell with you? I'm going to show you exactly what the hell I'm at.
Right. And I think that opened up a lot of eyes. I mean, I've lifted with you for years. I know what you're capable of. You benched 500 pounds raw, 5 years ago at that meet we done in Charlotte?
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't really realize you were capable of that, and you do that at a meet opening up. I think that really shocked a lot of people how strong you actually are. So some of us geared guys are actually still legitimately strong. Because there's always that speculation, are these guys really strong without that gear?
Oh yeah, that's always been out there. But let it be no spoiler. You have raw, you have equipped, you have multiply. I think as long as everybody is doing things accordingly within the guidelines of their organization rules, then everybody should be happy.
Right.
Multiply, single ply. Nowadays, a lot of single ply is pretty damn comparable to multiply.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty damn thick material.
Right.
So, don't let the two be confused.
Right. I talked over you on this. What does Mike want to do before you finish your career? What is it what's still there that is there a number? Is there a total? Is there a weight class that you want to do it in? What do you have left that you want?
The 198 I think is pretty locked up by Schwanke right now.
What's that total? 26, 30?
And I don't see that going anytime soon. But I would like to prove to myself that I can compete in the 198, in the same conditions, and maybe place in the all-time top 10. I think that would really make me happy.
Would you, do you think it's possible for you to total 25 at 198?
That would be a very set goal I'd like to achieve.
Right.
I mean, I'm really going to get my training down in tune with myself, but it was something I would like to try, though.
So possibly your next meet, you're going to compete in the 198s, give that a run.
Yeah, just because of me having to lean up for the military and requirements, it's pushing me in that direction.
Okay. That's good. Got one more question for you. A lot of people, want to know how you guys, because I've never done it, I just weigh in at what I weigh when I go to a meet. How hard is it to actually cut 10, 15, 20? I mean, people like Matt Kay, Brian Carroll, they're well known for dropping 30, 35 pounds. What's the most you've ever dropped to get in a weight class?
I had dropped 23 at one time.
23?
And a lot of that mastery, believe it or not, came from actually Eric Tellman talking to me.
Right.
And I picked his brain and stuff, of course, taking diuretics and everything, but sort of kind of you hit your peak weight within the training, everything's going good, you feel like you want to give that class a run, then you start to clean your diet and you taper out through the week. But the cut itself is primarily, you can do sauna, diuretics, and then you got that ammonia nitrate stuff or citrate. I don't advise that because you'd be pissing out your ass. I feel like you have the flu and everything's counterproductive. But those two are definitely viable options. Reconstitution is a lot of force feeding and drinking fluids, and it has the most critical time to that time when you weigh in with that 24 hours is 3 hours. You have got to be feeding yourself continuously. You're going to feel gut in your stomach is going to feel just bloated, but within the rest of the time of 21 hours, you're resting, eating, constantly taking fluid. Your body's going to reabsorb everything if it's done right. It could be done right, but I kind of use a 10% rule of your body weight, so you figure 10% of 220 is about 22 pounds. I think that is really the max limit you really want to push though.
Right. Okay. Mike, I appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
It's good having you back. Good seeing you again. Everybody, that's Mike Schwanke, world rank 220. Next meeting he's going to drop down to 198s and see what he can do. I appreciate him being here at NeboBarbell. We'll try to get some more of these interviews up for you. And I appreciate you checking this out. Thanks.